if anybody has not been to your website, it's called buildingfaithfamilies.org. And it's full of a lot of really good content. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's on there and maybe even how that all got started? Because I know our audience is probably most familiar with you and Matthew C., but maybe not this new ministry of yours.
Okay, that's a good starter question. So my wife and I have 4 sons.
Mm-hmm.
They're 30, well, actually one's birthday is tomorrow and another one's next week. So as of next week, they'll be 38, 36, 33, and 30. And we've been committed to home education since 1982 was our first conference. And when we heard those Raymond and Dorothy Moore speaking, it just resonated with our heart. And at that time, we only had a 2-year-old and a baby, but we knew we were going to homeschool our kids. And so I was at the time pastoring a small church, and I was also teaching in a public school, teaching math. And when our 4th boy was born, he kind of caught us off guard because we didn't know that he was going to be born with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. So at the time, he had a lot of difficult surgeries. The first was about 4 months. He had a virus and was in an oxygen tent in the hospital for a week. While he was there, they detected that he had a heart problem. And so at 6 months, he had a catheterization, and at 8 months, he had open heart surgery, and at 10 months, he had intestinal surgery, and he gained a pound the first year. So that was our introduction to the world of disability.
That's kind of like,
I kept trying to cut back on commitments that I had. I was already overextended. I'm not blaming my son by any means. I didn't know how to say no, so I was running summer camps and preaching and teaching, and I was even a lobbyist for home education. And we had to eventually resign from everything, regroup, move to Massachusetts to try to get our family back together, and some healing from mom and dad. My wife got all the chronic fatigue illnesses, autoimmune things like Candida and Epstein-Barr, and she lost about 60 pounds. I couldn't even answer the telephone. I usually love people, but it was a very difficult time for us. So we moved to Massachusetts, and eventually I started tutoring students in math just so I could make a living and put some food on the table. And in the process, that grew into Matthew C., which many know is a multi-sensory. I mean, we use hands, eyes, ears, and because I want kids to be able to touch it, feel it, see it, so they'll understand it better. Mm-hmm. And Matthew C. grew into a wonderful company, which is now being run by my 3 older boys, Isaac, Ethan, and Joseph. And Johnny lives with us. He and I just finished watching Blue Bloods on Netflix. And he's 30 years old, and he's got wonderful brothers. He's got an incredible mom. He's got wonderful sisters-in-law and a couple little nieces that he endures. But so really, the story of Matthew C. revolves around John in one level, and in another level, we have learned so much. Probably one of the biggest. We pretty much sailed through homeschooling pretty well with a group called NACD, which is National Association of Child Development, and they oversaw what we taught to Johnny. They oversaw his therapy, his stimulation, the eyes, ears, all kinds of things. And so that took a big load off of us. But it was just incorporated into our church, into our family, into our life.